Well, hello again, everybody. It's time for another edition of Fantasy Football Fever. It is Tuesday night, November 11th, 2025. Wherever, whenever, and however you're watching, thanks for making this part of your week. We are getting into the month of November, second week now, second full week of November. The weather here is a little bit colder, but the action is getting a little bit hotter. So thanks for joining us, everybody. My name is, of course, is Tim McClellan. With me over here is the host of the Hooked on Sports podcast, Mr. John Flynn, and of course, down below us is our faithful and trustworthy league commissioner, Mr. John Natale. Guys, how we doing?
Yeah, I'm
We're
doing
we're
pretty
doing
good.
good.
Yep, doing pretty good. And yeah, I want to wish all of our if any of our viewers are veterans, I would like to wish you all veterans happy Veterans Day. We
Yes,
thank you for
that's
your
right.
service.
All you veterans out there, those of you who are serving, who have served, we do thank you for your dedicated service. And of course, a special shout out to my younger brother. He served in the Air Force and in the Army National Guard. So, bro, thanks a lot, buddy. So it was a very, very interesting week, not only in our fantasy league, but in the NFL in general. So, since our man Finn is at right now, he has the control board for tonight. So, why don't we go ahead and get started here? We will start by recapping our fantasy league from last week, and we it looks like we are going to well look at Flynn's matchup against Andrew. And Flynn took this one by a score of 173.64 to 137.9. And it seems to me that looks like one of your top scorers right there was Nico Collins with 22.6. Kyron Williams had 22.4, 26 points from that Seattle defense special teams. I mean, Seattle is starting to look almost resembling the old Legion of Boom from back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it on Pain and Games last week because I was with the Pain and Game crew instead of Fantasy Football Fever last week. But yeah, but I did make sure to spend some time talking about the Seahawks and their brilliant roster construction and really it was and I should have laid the points with Seattle because this was a tough spot for Arizona with Jacoby Brissett. The talks about Kyler Murray potentially and not being the QB for the Cardinals next year. So, and Seattle took advantage.
All right, yeah, looks like he got good, decent scores from Christian McCaffrey. Jalen Warren kind of went a little bit low on his prediction. Chris Olave got 21.4, 17.9 from Tyler Warren. A very, very talented young tight end in the AFC right there. And Jordan Brooks got 13. Meanwhile, over on the other side, only 5.8 points from Bo Nix. And got 13 more from Saquon Barkley. Derrick Henry with 11.4. A little disappointing there. Lad McConkey with 20.7. Um, Trey McBride did his part again. Got 27.7 points. Uh, 19 from the Broncos special teams and 13 from Dicker the kicker. And looking down at the bench scores, oh, Jaxson Dart left 26.28 points on the table there with 10.1 from David Njoku and 13 from Atlanta. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ledger, Andrew, well, Caleb Williams left him 25.1 on the table as well as 12 points from the Ravens defense and special teams. And how about TreVeyon Henderson, 28 points? He's going to be a very good young running back in that New England program right there.
I mean, about time the Patriots used TreVeyon Henderson to the full. I think that was it, that 50+ yard touchdown run he had against Tampa. That was one of the biggest plays by the Patriots this season. And I don't know why it took a while for him to be to get the workload share, but credit the Patriots, and TreVeyon Henderson should be penciled in as a must start the rest of the season.
Oh, absolutely. For all you fantasy players out there, I hope you heard that. A good
All right,
big tip right there.
all right.
So
So let's.
with that victory, that moves John Flynn to a record of 8-2. That moves Andrew down to 6-4. So where we going now?
So let's do Natale and Lucas.
All right. Going to Natale and Lucas, and Natale got 135.62. Lucas got 122.9. Looking at Natale's side of the board, got pretty good score, 22.92 from Baker Mayfield. Ashton Genty went a little bit above his prediction with 15.3. Emeka Egbuka.
I mean, he scored. I mean, Genty scored the Raiders' only touchdown last week, so it helped.
Mm-hmm.
Got a probably pretty good 23.5 points from Emeka Egbuka. Wandale Robinson with 12.2, 14.3 from Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jake Bates with 14 points from the Lions kicker. Meanwhile, over on the other side, let's see, Lucas's side. Well, in a losing effort, he did get 38.2 points from Jameer Gibbs. Got 17.4 from Puka Nakua. Ted McMillan got 12. 14.7 from Justin Herbert. And take a look down at the bench scores. Jameson Williams had a pretty good day, getting 23.9 points. And the Chargers defense special team got 19. Meanwhile, Natale's bench left him 19.5 from Breece Hall, 12.8 from Khalil Shakir. Sam Donald really underperformed that one, 4.92, and Mark Andrews with 10.4.
So, well, the thing about Sam, the thing about Sam Donald was that the Seahawks were in a blowout, and they didn't even bother throwing the ball in the second in the last 3 quarters of the game, because it was like 28-0 in the first half, and that basically meant the game was over.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. So with that, John Natale, he's now at 500 with a record of 5-5. That brings Lucas to a record of 7-3.
All right, so let's go to your matchup, Timmy.
Oh my goodness! I finally
rejoice! Rejoice! The streak is over.
Rejoice!
Yeah.
Yes. I defeated Casey by a score of 126-3. It's a 93-5. And looking at my side of the board, I got 24-8 from Jared Goff, 16-9 from Aaron Jones, 10-3 from Devin Singletary, 14-8 from DeAndre Swift, 17-1 from Jawan Jennings. Zay Flower underperformed a little bit for me, got a 12.1. And I got 10 points from the Packers and special teams. Oh my goodness. That game last night was the biggest yawn I've ever had. Anyway, over on Casey's side of the board, got 15-5 from Daniel Jones, 15-3 from Rico Dowdle, 20.3 from Jaxson Smith and Jigba, 16-8 from Amara St. Brown. And down on the bench, only had a total of 7 points on the table on my bench. Meanwhile, got 5 from Max Crosby, 7-1 from Jacoby Myers, 3.9 from Michael Pittman, and 10 from the Browns defense special teams there. So obviously I had to start Jared Goff because Dak Prescott was on the bye.
I mean, you had Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, and Rasheed Rice all off this week, yet you still won.
Yeah, so I had to make some pretty interesting moves here, and
It's
I guess it worked.
and you had the third fewest points in our league last week, yet you still found a way to win because no one was delivering on Casey's team. Because Justin Jefferson, for example, he was held to just 4 catches for 37 yards, and Bill Krosky Merritt was held to just 30 yards of rushing on the day. So this and look at Bill Krosky Merritt's numbers for over the last few weeks. Yeah, he hasn't had a game where he's had more than 5.8 fantasy points since week 5. So I think the Bill Krosky Merritt a talk should be over for the time being. He's just not reliable right now.
No, not really. I was kind of having real good hopes for that guy there, but anyway, that gives me my second victory of the week. I'm 2-8. Casey is now 4-6. Uh, we're going to go next to Alex and Adam. And Adam got his third win of the season. He defeated Alex by a score of 147-84 to 127-22. Looking at Adam's board, got 19-3-4 from Josh Allen. And Jonathan Taylor, that big day he had, 50.6 fantasy points.
A 50 piece.
Or as Alex would say, a 50 burger.
Yeah.
And Alvin Kamara got him 14-5, got 24-4 from George Kittle. Nate Landman, the linebacker for the Rams, got him 12. Meanwhile, over on the other side, Alex got 19. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just happy that Alvin Kamara is back to being a serviceable starter. With that, because he had 115 all-purpose yards, and that was a big reason why the Saints beat the Panthers. And Tyler Shuck made some really good throws in that game. I mean, Tyler Shuck, I didn't understand the hype around him, but yeah, I think he's done impressive jobs with the Saints this week against Carolina. But now, will they carry over to after their bye week next week? So, well, that remains to be seen. But but that 50 piece kept Adam's slim playoff hopes alive.
Right. And over on Alex's side, got 19.42 from Jacoby Brissett, got 15.7 from Travis Etienne, 24.4 from Drake London, and 20.4 from Jalen Waddle from his Dolphins here. Got 20 points from the Texans defense and special teams. And looking down at the bench players, 16 points from the Eagles defense special teams. Mac Hollins with 16.6. Meanwhile, Adam left 16.44 from Aaron Rodgers. That was terrible. And the Colts got him 10 points right there. So with that being said there, that moves Adams to 3-7 and drops Putnam to 4-6. And finally, we have a
Yeah.
You muted yourself.
Yeah. Anyways, so I'll do it while we try to get Timmy's mic back up. So
Yep.
how about David? He went despite leaving Jamar Chase in his lineup and not making that change, he still beat Dino by a score of 131.8 to 129.52. And for David, Devon Achane, 174 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns in a stunning Dolphins victory over the Bills, and Devon Achane is having an outstanding season. Natale, he's ranked number 3 on the season in running backs, and this was his best performance of the season. His second 100+ yard rushing day. He already has 6 games this season with 5 catches, and 3 games, and 2 games this year with with 50 or more receiving yards, and he and of course the touchdowns that he's had. So
can we potentially say offensive player of the year maybe if he keeps this up?
No, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's had a better year than him.
True.
Yeah, I mean, he just had a fantasy 50 piece against Atlanta, and then you had Romo Dunze kind of big. He had Romo Dunze caught a touchdown with 4 minutes to go. That helped David a lot. Stephon Diggs came up. It came up big as well. But then on the other side, Dino only got 12 from Jalen Hurts, 19.7 from Jacobs, and he got 19.7 from Devontae Adams, 16.9 from Devontae Smith. Luke Musgrave was put in as the starting tight end after Tucker Kraft tore his ACL, and it was beyond clear that the Packers missed Tucker Kraft in that lineup, and that really diminishes what Matt LaFleur is able to do, and the concepts that he's able to put that up. But although the Athletic did say in a piece this morning that Matt LaFleur might be on the hot seat, so wouldn't that be interesting if the Packers missed the playoffs and fired LaFleur? Wouldn't that send shockwaves around the NFL? But the Packers have lost at home in the last 2 weeks. So to the Panthers and the Eagles, they've averaged just 10 points a game in those games. So I think you got it. I mean, they get the gift of Shane Bowen's Giants coming up on a short week. But yeah, the Packers need to figure things out here, because if you look at Minnesota's coming. I know they lost to Baltimore, but they're coming. The Bears are 6-3. The Lions are 6-3, and the Packers are out of first place in the division. So that's going to be something to monitor there, and then the Jags defense made plays before they imploded later than Tyler Loop. 13 points, including a couple of long field goals in the Ravens' victory over the Minnesota Vikings. And then on the bench, he kept Deebo Samuel on the bench, which was accurate. I mean, but the thing is, like, if he started Deebo Samuel over Quinshon Judkins in his flex, I mean, yeah, it's crazy that you shouldn't regret starting Quinshon Judkins. He just didn't have a good game against the Jets. He would have won. That AJ Brown, or again, being AJ Brown. AJ Brown this season is the number 40 wide receiver PPR in fantasy this year, which is wild. So he's only had 2 good games. And easily, we're going to be talking about him as one of the big disappointments in fantasy at the end of the season. And then Jordan Mason and Justice Hill in backup roles as well. So I would take a look at the standings here, and I'm in first place in our league with a record of 8-2. And I clinched playoffs in the process, so I'm officially in the playoffs. And Dino and Lucas will clinch playoffs with wins next week. Then Andrew 6-4, Natale, you're 5-5, and you have a 1-game lead over
Yep.
Casey, Adam, and David for those last wild card spots, and then Adam 3-7, and Tim is 2-8, and I believe you're 2-8. So in terms of points scored, I lead the way at 1469.58, while the tally, despite being 5-5, is at the bottom with 12.74. So
yeah, two bad back-to-back games did me in.
Yeah. But in terms of the rankings, that the bottom 3 teams in the league going into this week 1. So so that's something. So why don't we take a look now at a look at some of our matchups for week 11. So do we want to start where we'll start with my matchup against Casey, Tim?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and we'll start with
I
first
want to get the
matchup
box
with
score
Casey here.
up.
There we go.
It's the first one that popped up because I'm using my account.
Right. And it sees here that back in week 3, you took down Casey by a score of 166.22 to 131.96. Right now, he has a slight edge, just a 2-point edge over you, 127.5 to 125.5. And looking at the check marks here, they're mostly on Casey's side here. You got Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, with Jordan Burks and Chris Boswell. He's got Rico and JJ. He's got JSN and Hunter Henry, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So this let me see your bench players here. Terry McLaurin is out again, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and he's such a hamper on our rosters because because the Commanders haven't put him on injured reserve, meaning that I don't have that they can't open a roster spot for me. I mean, it's annoying.
Very annoying here. They say Jackson Dart is questionable, but question for you. I heard this question this morning on Get Up, and the question was, do you think Jackson Dart is playing a little bit reckless?
I mean that believe it or not, that's what John Gruden said on his series leading into the draft last year regarding his type of play.
Wow. I just see there. So let's see here. Just looking at Casey's bench players here. Only 6. Look at Max Crosby, projected at only 6.1 against one of the worst defenses in the league on Monday night.
I mean, all of his point. I mean, the thing is, like, Crosby doesn't make the tackles as much, and he's become an average player of the season. So,
so I guess that's how that matchup goes up. Let's see here.
I'd say this is a big one for Natale, going up against Dino.
Yeah, I'm the only person left who hasn't played him.
Oh, right. So
I'm the last person to play him.
Yeah.
Well, you have a 134.6 to 130.8 advantage for him right now.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like your check marks are for your wide receiver one, and then from your tight end all the way down to your kicker. Uh, Dino has one empty spot that he would need to fill. That's the tight end position. Whenever he has a tight end on his bench, he's got Luke Musgrave for Green Bay.
Yeah, maybe he has no
Maybe,
intentions of starting him.
I mean, we'll see what he does on the waiver wire.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm still deciding between Wandale Robinson and Jordan Addison, but I'm waiting to see what the Dart situation is before I make my decision.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, all bets are off for the Giants if Russell Wilson is the starter because
Yeah.
when Russell Wilson's gone up against good defenses this year, he's been a double agent. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean which is why that. I mean, it should be a get right game for Green Bay, all things considered.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
and
So,
then then your wide receiver depth is showing up right now. So maybe perhaps you have to, but make them see what's of what if you want to make upgrades before the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
yep. So
Uh,
now, let's see here. Let's go
Ooh,
to my.
your matchup. You guys' matchup is interesting. Basically, winner stays alive, loser eliminated from contention.
yeah.
Yeah, it's do or die here between me and Adam. He took me in week two, 133.82 to 138.04. Of course, that was the start of my long losing streak. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think I put in waivers for
Don't say anything. Let's keep it a surprise.
Well, I mean, Timmy, isn't Tim in last place? If Tim is last place, isn't he first on the waiver wire?
I mean, somehow they alternate it all the time. I don't know. I don't know why they always do some random ordering for some odd reason.
No, hold on, let me see what the rules are with that. With that.
So no, I know you get moved to the back when you get a successful claim, but other than that, I'm not sure.
okay. Right now, my waiver order, I'm at the bottom here at 10
Yeah.
of 10. So, and when so I put in some waivers on my Yahoo league, but not this one here. So,
Oh.
have to see what I can do here.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah. The one thing that
this,
looks good for you is Jonathan Taylor's on the bye.
yeah. And CD and Jake Ferguson and Dak Prescott are coming back, although I'm kind of feeling better. Jared Goff against the Eagles, I'm not sure. Dak Prescott against the Raiders, I'd probably be inclined to go ahead and move Dak back into my starting
Yeah.
position.
Yeah, and Natale, and yeah, the rule is for a waiver order you move to last after a claim.
Yeah, that part I knew. I'm like after that I wasn't sure like how it works
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
Okay. So Adam has two starters. That's going to be on the bye this week. So if there's anyone on the bench he could put in, his two running backs. Well, he's got Kenneth Gainwell, and that's the only other running back he has on his bench. So maybe he may have to go fishing.
Mm.
All right. Well, another go is I got to head to bed. I got work in the morning, but I'm curious to know what your trivia question was. I'm actually kind of curious.
Oh. So what? So why don't we do trivia right now?
Yeah.
Before we get back into things.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for the sake of Natale having to leave early, we'll go ahead and do a trivia question right now. This past week, the Minnesota Vikings committed a total of 8 false starts in one game, but the record is 9. Who holds that record?
Hmm. This is going to sound crazy, but I'm actually going to say my hometown New York Giants because I remember because I know there's this player. I told Flynn about this player a long time ago. He was a little too young to remember him, but Luke Petticoat, he was the epitome of false start penalties. He would get like 3 or 4 or 5 in a single game. So for that reason alone, I'm saying the Giants.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with one of the games that was played in Seattle. I think it was a Monday night game between the Saints and the Seahawks. Yeah, during the Seahawks Super Bowl season, and the Saint and like the crowd there was like so loud, there that they got a lot of false starts. So I'm gonna go with the Saints.
Ooh, interesting.
So, Natalie, you said
The Giants because of Luke Petticoat, the epitome of false start penalties.
okay. So you said the Giants, and Flynn says the Saints.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
that's for both of you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say. The answer is the 2009 Buffalo Bills.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was in week 5. They were at home against the Cleveland Browns. They committed 9 false starts.
Wow.
And they had a total of 13 total penalties for a total of 75 yards, compared to only 3 penalties and 29 yards for the Browns. And the final score of that game, it was Cleveland 6, Buffalo 3.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
interesting.
The quarterbacks in that game, it was Derek Anderson for the Browns and Trent Edwards for the Bills.
That's some interesting facts there.
Yep.
Did you come up with one?
Yeah, I just came up with one, guys.
Cool. All right, let's hear it.
Okay, so this should be an easier one compared to ones I've given you in the past. So Jaxson Dart became the first quarterback in NFL history to run for a touchdown in 5 straight games. So who did he previously share the record with, and who previously broke it with?
Oh, I'm torn between 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to go with Josh Allen.
That's what I was thinking. That was the first name that came to my mind, Josh Allen, because he's known for getting like good running touchdowns, like 10 or 5 yards to the goal line. So
yeah, I was torn between him and Lamar Jackson, but I think it's going to be Josh Allen.
So you're going? It's both of you going with Josh Allen?
That's right.
Yep,
I am.
All right. Same thing with you, Natale?
Huh? Yes. Damn it.
So
it was for Lamar Jackson, wasn't it?
No, the answer is Cam Newton. He did it in 2011.
Cam Newton.
True. Oh, okay. Interesting one.
Yep.
I was thinking it was a current player. Okay, that was interesting. Very good question.
Very good.
All right, well, then, guys, I got to sign off, and I'll see you guys next week for week 12, I believe, right?
Yeah, week 12. Yep. Yes.
All righty. All right, take care, guys.
All right, bye.
All right. So as we let John Natale ride off into the night, going back to our matchups we had here, we were looking at the Pain and Game boys, Waddle House and Team America, Lucas and Alex. Right now, Alex has a 141.5 to 129.1 projection. In the previous matchup, week 2, it was Lucas that got the victory, 166.3 to 129.2. And so, I'm looking at Lucas's side of the board, and he's getting a good projection from Puka Nakua, maybe a little bit from James Cook. Jameer Gibbs may have another good showing against Philadelphia, maybe. And let's see here, 26 for John Robinson. They're going up against Carolina. And Jacoby Brissett is now the starter in Arizona now. So you think Kyler Murray took his last snap a couple of weeks ago?
I think there's a real possibility that he did. Yeah, I mean, he's doing with injury, and now he's still dealing with his bad quarterback play, and now you get Jacoby Brissett, who had a tough draw against a very good Seattle defense last week, and now he's got a much more favorable matchup against San Francisco. And a defense that was just shredded to pieces by Stafford, Nakua, and the Kyron and Adams and the Rams.
Right. So let's see here. So Putnam has Travis Hunter on his bench, but I wouldn't even believe. So he's going to be out for the season. So he's pretty much done right there. So.
I mean, now you look at Brian Thomas Jr. As someone who might see their target share go up. I could also see. I believe his name is Parker Washington for the Jaguars. Because his fantasy stock just went up because I think he slides into to the WR2 role.
Yeah, he could be getting a good bit of targets this week.
Yeah.
So that's how that matchup goes on. What have we not looked at? Okay, yeah, we're looking at David and Andrews right now. So David has 150.4 advantage over 136.6 for Andrew. They met back in week 3, and David won that one 137.12 to 111.62. Looking at their starting players, looking at it looks like Drake May over on David's side. David HN. The matchup between the Dolphins and the Commanders might be kind of an interesting one right there. Let's see. He's got Robert Dunsey going up against that Minnesota defense, and Jamar Chase. Yeah, Jamar Chase is pretty much money in the bank most of the time. Looking over at Andrew's side of the board. I got Trey McBride. I would keep him in there. Derrick Henry against Cleveland. Yeah, I would definitely start him. And I'm looking down at the bench players here. Joe Burrow on the IR, but they put him in limited practice starting today. I think they say he's got a 21-day window. See what happens if that turf toe gets any better. But I'm not sure I would even risk putting Joe Burrow back in the season yet.
Yeah, I feel like this is all desperation at this point because Zach Taylor is on the hot seat, and I think Duke Tobin is on the hot seat too. So they have to do whatever it takes to keep their jobs.
Yeah. So that's how that goes, sir. So.
And speaking of hot seats, one hot seat was cooked on Monday as the New York Football Giants fired Brian Daboll as their head coach after 3.5 seasons at the helm. The Giants he finished with a record of 20-40-1 over his over his tenure with the Giants, but a season where the Giants just kept blowing leads on the road. They blew 4 leads of double digits on the road this season, and the latest disaster with the one against the Bears was the one that ultimately cost his job. So yeah, it's a mess for the Giants. I went in a lot of detail on this on Hooked on Sports this morning, and I think you look you look at that and you just say, wow, you could just and Jackson Dart's in concussion protocol, and Scadaboo's hurt, Neighbors is hurt, so we'll have to see what if they can get Dart's some time to go when he's comes back from concussion protocol.
Yeah, so that makes Brian Daboll, if I'm not mistaken, the second head coach to be fired this season so far, other than Brian Callahan in Tennessee.
You would be correct.
So, and how about I mean, there's some guys that I think that Drake May is kind of a front runner for MVP.
Yeah, I mean, why don't we pull up his game log this year, because Drake May has been exceptional so far this season. He ranks right now as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy football for the season.
Number 1 already.
Yeah, number. Yeah, I mean,
wow.
he's averaging 20. He's averaging 21.3 points per game. So he's been so consistent all season. So he's had he's had he's had 7 finishes of 11 or better. So only once has he scored under 16.5 points in fantasy. So. And he's taking charge. He currently has 2,555 passing yards of the season, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and he's just been superb. He's making late throws. He's making some tough throws. As well, so it's really been a godsend for the Patriots to get this level of play from Drake May this quickly.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at what Drake May is doing. I think he is definitely on his way to leading the Patriots to the AFC East title. Because I think I see Buffalo slipping a little bit.
Yeah, and we could talk about that because now the Patriots have a 1.5 game lead over the Bills in the AFC East, and plus the head-to-head they have over them from earlier the season. So, I mean, look, you gotta think of the Patriots right now as a more trustworthy team going forward than the Buffalo Bills.
Right?
Am I right about that? I mean, because the Bills coming out riding the high of beating the Chiefs again, and then they just lay an egg against Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins, a team that had just fired Chris Greer the week before.
That was I was still shocked about that one.
I mean, shocked that they did the right thing and did it.
I was kind of shocked at the final score. I was just looking through the scoreboards, and I was like, "Holy free holies!" I mean, this team that just fired the general manager is just putting a whooping on these Bills.
Yeah, and I mean, no one circles the wagons like the Miami Dolphins.
That doesn't sound right.
I was so well. If you watched on Sunday, it was because the Bills were totally unprepared. Josh Allen stunk. Sean McDermott couldn't. The tackling was awful by the Bills defense, it's why I can't take the Bills seriously as a Super Bowl winning team because they employ Sean McDermott.
Right. So I'm kind of considering Sean McDermott maybe on the hot seat, but not as much as anyone else,
Well, I mean, McDermott's going to be the coach of the Bills next year, right?
Right. I would think so. I think what's going on here is perhaps maybe a temporary setback.
Mm,
I mean, they have the
Yeah,
talent, but they're just not quite clicking the way they should.
yeah, right. And yeah, and Josh Allen still put up some gaudy numbers last week in terms of fantasy. 306 passing yards and the 2 passing touchdowns, 31 yards rushing. Yeah, he's still number 3 in fantasy in uh uh, he's still I mean, if you look at points per game, Allen is ranked number 2 behind Mahomes for points per game. But yeah, and in terms of points per game, uh, points per game. This season, so far this season, it's been Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Drake May, and then if I pull up, is that if I pull up from weeks 4 on, because that's when Jackson Dart started, started to play. Jackson Dart's been QB3.
Yeah, but now I think Jackson Dart's just doing too much and kind of it's almost like he's forcing himself to do these things, and he just probably just needs to maintain some composure here because I mean he it seemed like he did start pretty good when he started in place of Russell Wilson a few weeks back.
Right. Yeah.
Well, but let's see here. Anything else we need to talk about?
So let's see what else. Again, Jonathan Taylor. It's a monster game. 244 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns against the Falcons. So, another incredible showing there. Devon Achane, as we mentioned, 22 carries, 174 yards, two touchdowns. So how about the Rams? What they were able to do against the against the 49ers with a big time ass kicking. Matthew
Wow.
Stafford went 24 of 36 for 280 yards, 4 more touchdown passes, including the 400th touchdown of his career, and zero interceptions. And if you go back to his last 3 games, Matthew Stafford has has 1,035 yards passing. Actually, in 3 games, he is 68.3% of completion percentage, 743 passing yards, 13 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions in 3 games
Amazing.
against the Jaguars, the Saints, and the 49ers. So on the flip side, it's going to be a much tougher matchup for the Rams when they're going up against Seattle because the Saints, Niners, and what you call it, the Saints and Niners and Jaguars
Yeah.
have not play with not so great defenses. So
Right. Oh, and there's another quarterback that's really kind of impressing me. Caleb Williams for Chicago.
I do sense that as well because he's had back-to-back top 5 finishes. Yeah, because he had 280 passing yards, 3 touchdown 3 passing touchdowns and 53 rushing yards in the victory over Cincinnati Week 9, and then in the comeback against the Giants, he had 63 yards rushing, 220 yards passing, a rushing touchdown, and the passing touchdown was QB4 in fantasy last week. But now you got a much tougher matchup going up against Brian Flores and the Minnesota Vikings coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, he does. But yeah. So
And also, can we talk about that Texans Jaguars game? And that was like, holy cow! What did we just witness here? Because the Texans overcame a 19-point deficit in the fourth quarter, I believe, and they outscored the Jaguars 26-0 in that ball game, and I was just like, what is going on here? And Davis Mills did finish as QB1 in fantasy this week. 292 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown to boot as well. What a crazy comeback of that was, but. And if Davis Mills does start, which I believe that's going to be the case, he's going to have another favorable matchup against the Titans.
yeah, definitely. So I noticed Nico Collins had a pretty good game. He was targeted 15 times, only got 7 of them, but they were good for 136 yards, even though he didn't score a touchdown. But boy, he definitely produced in that one, and that would probably definitely come in handy when they go up against Tennessee this week.
I mean, Nico Collins only has 40 target receptions in his 72 targets, but he's averaging 13.8 yards per reception, and easily his best game, easily his best game of the season was this past week, where he had 136 receiving yards and finished in number 5. So I mean, I've been waiting all season for something like this, even especially since the end of week 3 when he had that. So I mean, because the thing is, in the 2 games against Jacksonville combined, he's had 26 targets, 15 receptions, 240 yards in those 2 games. So, no other team has allowed 80 yards against him. So, and he had 4 for 79 yards against Tennessee in week 4. So we'll have to see if he gets the opportunities in the end zone this time.
Yeah. So good off those guys. They're making things very interesting. We got some very interesting matchups this week in the NFL.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I believe Mr. Flynn has a little start and a sit or or something like that for this week.
Yes, I do, and this is for week 11 of the NFL. So I'm going to give you my picks for my sit of the week, my sleeper of the week, and my start of the week. So this would be good advice for Timmy because this applies to him and what we talked about earlier with his lineup. And my fantasy sit of the week is Jared Goff, the quarterback of the Detroit Lions, and he's put up some outstanding statistics throughout the course of the season. He is that he's had a very strong season so far. And on Sunday night, and according to and this is and in the tough matchups, he has not been producing the way he does against teams like Chicago or Washington. Yeah, and Philly vastly improved their defensive line. The return of Brandon Graham to that defense, Nolan Smith coming back from injury, and then the acquisition of Jalen Phillips were all key pieces in the Eagles' win over the Packers. And the Eagles' defense is finally back to the defense that they were last year. It took a while for them to get there because they were still it's still hit and miss with Jalen Carter's availability in that. But now with the Eagles coming off a bye, they've shown a lot of confidence that they can play well defensively. They could they can win any style of fight. And until I see otherwise, I believe that even though the Rams are terrific and they could have been 9-0, Seattle's been terrific. I still believe the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC. And I think Jared Goff is going to run to a budding jigsaw in the Philadelphia Eagles. So my sit of the Jared Goff. For the Las Vegas Raiders, yeah, he's got a favorable matchup against the Dallas Cowboys coming up on Monday night. That Dallas's secondary has been atrocious all season, and we didn't see the Cowboys last week because they were on the bye, but. But I'm looking for Trey Tucker to have 10 targets in this game, and I think he can send one off for a big play. So I would not sleep on Trey Tucker at all here. And then my fantasy start of the week, my must start of the week in fantasy is going to be Jaylen Warren, the running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Cincinnati Bengals are 32nd in the NFL in yards in fantasy points allowed to running backs, and the Bengals coming off the bye week. You still know what Trey Hendrickson has done, and I think that this is the type of defense that Arthur Smith will thrive against. Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator and the play caller. I'm looking at Jaylen Warren to have 100 yards rushing. I'm looking at him to have a touchdown, make some plays out of the backfield. I think Jaylen Warren is a part for the Pittsburgh from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think he's going to tee off against the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, so very interesting points from Mr. Flynn for your little fantasy tips right there. And now let us go to our picks for this week. And we're going to start with the Thursday night matchup between the New York Jets and New England Patriots over at the big Razor Blade Gillette Stadium. And New England is coming in at 12.5-point favorites. And this is definitely a huge mismatch. I mean, we just mentioned a few minutes ago how great of a season Drake May is, and that he is the leading leading popularity for MVP and the number one quarterback in fantasy. And that TreVeyon Henderson, he's doing an excellent job kind of shoving Ramondre Stevenson into the background because I really didn't trust Ramondre Stevenson having another season like he did last year. But and the Jets, of course, have been a constant dumpster fire for the longest time. This is not my lock of the week, believe it or not. But I am definitely going to take the Patriots at home over those New York Jets by a score of 24-10.
Yeah, I'm seeing it the same way. 12.5 is a huge number. No, make no mistake about it in terms of a division game because I wouldn't touch this. But yeah, I think the Jets' 2 wins this season have come against an atrocious Bengals defense and a dreadful Browns team, and I just don't think I don't believe that that's going to be the case when you're going up against the Patriots, a much tougher team who is coming off a statement win over Tampa, but Mike Vrabel is gonna have his guys ready and buttoned up, and I'm just gonna quote the team on a short week. You just have to go with the team with the better coach and the better quarterback. I mean, is Tyrod Taylor going to start this game for the Jets or what? Because it doesn't we still don't know about Justin Fields' availability for this game. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Patriots to win this game by a score of 28-12.
All right, and of course earlier, John Natale left his picks for us, and he is going to take the Patriots over the Jets by a score of 28-18. Now, before we move on, we do want to mention that there are two teams on the bye week this week. That would be the Indianapolis Colts and New Orleans Saints.
So we're looking at Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara as examples of players that you'll need to find bye week replacements for, and it fits so perfectly if you're a Jonathan Taylor fantasy owner because you have a huge pool of backup running backs you can dip out of from the waiver wire.
Yep, that is true. That is true. And now that we talked about the Thursday night game, we're going to go to the Sunday morning game. Well, it'll be morning here in America, but it'll be afternoon over in Madrid, Spain, where the Washington Commanders will take on the Miami Dolphins. That'll be an NFL Network game. Dolphins are at 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I like the I kind of love the Dolphins to win this game, despite their run defense being poor. So I mean, it's because look, Washington's dead. They've been dead for weeks. That Jaden Daniels isn't playing. Terry McLaurin, it doesn't look like he's going to be playing either. And those are your two most important players on the team. And the team is old and slow. And you have and you have a faster team. Jalen Waddle would have been my number 2 candidate for must start of the week if I had if I had a second option there for that category. I think he's going to have 100 yards receiving and a couple of touchdowns in the game. So big game for Jalen Waddle, a big game for Malik Washington, who I think you should put in your fantasy lineup this week because I think he's got a good matchup against Washington here. So I'm gonna go 27-20. Give me the Dolphins to beat Washington.
All right, and I agree with pretty much everything you said. It looks like Washington is just getting a little too banged up. Washington, Dallas, New York Giants, they're pretty much in the background because it looks like Philadelphia's just going to go ahead and run away with the NFC East. But here in this case, you mentioned the terrible run defense of the Miami Dolphins, but it seems like everything else is working. Hopefully, Tua stays healthy. I'm going to go ahead and take Miami over Washington by a score of 27-24. And Natale's going to make it unanimous. He's going Dolphins 21, Commanders 17.
Yep.
And so with that being said, we now go to the 1 p.m. Eastern games on Sunday, beginning with an NFC South matchup between the Falcons are at home against the Carolina Panthers, and Falcons are picked by 3.5. And let's see here. I'm thinking this could be a good bounce back for Atlanta. Carolina's going to make them work for it. Rico Dowdle is having a pretty good year, but I mean, I could have swore Carolina was just going to tear the hell out of them Saints, and boy, was I wrong. Alvin Kamara was a big star again, but I think Carolina is just in a little bit of trouble here. I could probably see Bijan Robinson rushing for at least 100 yards. Darnell Mooney and Drake London, if they're both healthy, they're going to really make things happen out there. I'm taking the Falcons over the Panthers by a score of 24-17.
I mean, the games that I hate to pick the most are between two teams that have been inconsistent all season. Yeah, that's right. The two most inconsistent teams in the NFC this year have been the Panthers and the Falcons. So the Panthers that had a great win in Green Bay a week ago, 2 weeks ago, as 14-point dogs, and then they lay an egg, lose at home to Tyler Shuck and the Saints, giving Tyler Shuck his first win as an NFL starter. So, then you have that, and then you have the Falcons. They bludgeoned Buffalo, and then they laid an egg against Miami a couple of weeks ago, and then then they took the 7-2 Colts into overtime, and gave up 500 yards of offense in the process, and allowed Jonathan Taylor to join for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns against them. So this is a good opportunity for Rico Dowdle to continue on his impressive season. But I love the Panthers with the points, because I'm gonna guard against the field goal, against this being a field goal game. So but give me the home team here. Give me the Falcons to win 20-17. I wouldn't touch this game, but yeah, so that's why I'm going to go with that.
All right, and Natale says he is going to go with the Falcons over the Panthers by a score of 26-20. So I guess we are all unanimous with that game. Very interesting matchup in Buffalo. The Bills are picked by 5.5 over the visiting Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And actually, Natale has this as his official point spread game of the week. He is taking the Bills 20 bucks 20, Bills 30 bucks 28. He's taking the Bills with the win, and he's taking the Bucks with the points. And I'm pretty much going to do the same thing. I mean, Buffalo's at home. They're a cold weather team. Tampa Bay is a warm weather team. I don't know if that warm weather team is going to play that well in the cold weather up there, even though Tampa Bay has got Emeka Egbuka. Hopefully, I mean, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are still they have their problems with their injuries, but when they're healthy, they can really kick some butt here. But Buffalo is just going to be a little too much for them. I'm going to take Buffalo. I'm going to take 28-24. I'm taking Buffalo with the victory, but I'm taking the Bucks with the points.
Yeah, and actually the forecast calls for 45. It's 45 degrees. Wind. Sustained winds of 20 miles an hour. So the wind will definitely be a factor in this one. And I think it is going to be a factor because without Bucky Irving, the Bucks aren't able to run the football effectively, and that's really been the reason behind. Behind their struggles offensively is that they've been too one-dimensional, and eventually when they figure out when they can't run the ball, it's easier to guard against the pass of Baker Mayfield, passing attack of Baker Mayfield. Sure, Emeka Egbuka had a great game last week, great. So but that's just a problem waiting to be had. So this was the toughest game of the week for me to pick against the spread. But I'm gonna hold my nose and lay the 5.5 points with the Bills, who are still. I'm still out. The jury, led by me, is still out on them, but I'm still gonna pick them to win and cover because I just think Tampa has some issues on offense right now. So I'll give the Bills the edge here, 30-20 over Tampa, and Buffalo bounces back after that horrible performance in Miami.
All right. We go to Jacksonville, where the Jaguars going to be at home against the visiting Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers coming in at 2.5-point favorites. Let me hear what you got to say about this one.
Yeah, I just don't know how Jacksonville recovers from that loss because had Jacksonville gone on the road and swept Houston, everything would have been there for Jacksonville to make the playoffs as the 7th seed in the AFC. Now it feels like everything's gonna come crashing down on the Jaguars because they have the Chargers, they have the Chargers and Cardinals next the next couple of weeks, and then after what should be an easy win against Tennessee, they got Indy, they got the Jets, the Broncos, the Colts again, and the Titans. So. A lot of a lot of divisional games coming up, and one against teams that I don't teams that are better than their records indicate. So with that in mind, I'm going to be picking the Chargers, and I don't feel great about this one either because I think I thought that game was more about Pittsburgh being dreadful than the Chargers being a quality team that is well coached. So I'm gonna lay the 2.5 and pick the Chargers to win and cover by a score of 20-13 over Jacksonville.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said there. I mean, yeah, how does a team recover from such a huge disappointment like they did last year? I don't think they might. They're gonna make it close though, but I'm gonna say the Chargers will win and cover. I'm taking the Chargers over the Jaguars by a score of 24-21. And what do you know? Natale has the exact same result, the exact same score, 24-21, Chargers over Jaguars. So I guess we are all.
Yeah, and we'll need to see. Yeah. Yeah, now also in terms of fantasy, I want to see if they can get Kamani Vidal into a rhythm here because in week 6, 8, and 10 he's had so he scored 17 fantasy points per game. In the first two coming off those types of performances, he's had just a single digit a single digit output for them. So it's gonna be we're gonna see how he handles the defense that's given up the 9th fewest points to running backs this season.
Yeah, and now we have an NFC North matchup. Minnesota is at home. The Chicago Bears are coming into town. They're giving. This is interesting. Minnesota 3-point favorites over the Bears. It's
Let me. Let me make sure. I mean, remember, it's a game between two evenly matched teams. So
right.
you figure that you give and yes, the Vikings are indeed 3-point home favorites against Chicago.
Right. So if it's evenly matched, you just lay the points with the visiting team, I guess. So, um, but I'm feeling a bit of mojo here for the Bears here. I mean, Caleb Williams has been doing a great job with that defense, and JJ McCarthy is I guess he's okay, but he's not quite good enough. I gotta see more. I gotta see more out of JJ McCarthy. I gotta see more out of the receivers and Jordan Mason and those guys. I'm actually taking the Bears on the road to win this one by a score of 28-21. This is not my upset special, but I'm taking the Bears 28-21 over the Vikings.
Well, I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings to win the game. I look. Let's take a look at the Bears' wins this season, and with Caleb Williams, that his wins have come against Dallas, so because of Dallas, Vegas because of a blocked field goal, against Washington because of a fumble with 3 minutes left in the game, and then against Spencer Rattler, against the Bengals defense that's the worst in the football, and Shane Bowen's Giants defense. And now you go up against Brian Flores and his defense and all the exotic blitzes. I don't I think this is a much taller task for the Minnesota facing up against the Minnesota Vikings. So I would if you can, I would put Caleb Williams on my bench. I'm not a believer in his matchup this week. No, but so I think it's gonna rely on the duo of Kyle Molinagi and DeAndre Swift, and DeAndre Swift being in this game is gonna hurt Molinagi's start value this week. So you have that, but I ultimately I do believe this is gonna be a win here for the Minnesota Vikings, and I know they're JJ McCarthy's back. He's beaten the Bears already, so I think he's gonna do it again. 27-20, give me the Vikings to beat the Bears.
Okay, and Natale says he's going to take the Bears over the Vikings 25-21. So Natale and I are riding with the Bears while Flynn is the lone wolf for the Vikings. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers heading into MetLife Stadium against the New York Football Giants, and Green Bay is coming in at 7-point favorites. Let's see what Natale says about this one. Packers over Steelers 28-19. And Flynn, he's going to lock the Packers this week.
Oh, he's gonna put the lock of the week. All right, give me a second here.
Very interesting there. Yeah, Green Bay is coming in to New York. I'm kind of slightly disappointed in the way Jordan Love has been playing so far this season. But I'm really disappointed in the way that Jaxson Dart has been playing at the same time. I mean, we mentioned earlier that he's kind of forcing himself to do that. I think Jaxson Dart is a slightly bit aggressive. And that's what's kind of been hurting him and the entire offense right there. So I'm just taking the team with the better head coach. I'm just going to take. So we got what's this guy's name? Mike Kafka.
Yeah, Mike Kafka.
Yeah, he is the OC who is now the interim coach. So I'm going to take Green Bay to win this one, but I see the Giants just barely covering this one. I got Green Bay 30, Giants 24.
Yeah, I actually think this is going to be the lowest scoring game of the week. I mean, because the Packers' offense is non-existent without Tucker Kraft, but when Russell Wilson plays, the Giants are cooked, and Russell Wilson is going up against a defense with paired with a competent offense could make a team a Super Bowl caliber team, but that's just not the case with Jordan Love and the Packers. So I'll take the Packers to win by a score of 19-9. And yes, this is my garbage game of the week.
Ooh. Packers and Giants, garbage game of the week. Anyway, moving right along, we're going to go to Pittsburgh, where the Bengals are going to play against the Steelers, and the Steelers are 5.5-point favorites. And Natale says he's taking the Steelers over the Bengals 27-21. Yeah, without Burrow, it seems Cincinnati's just not quite the same team, even though Jamar Chase always seems to have a good game. Chase Brown seems to be good. T. Higgins is good, but it's the quarterback. I mean, if the quarterback's not there, then things change a little bit. It's kind of like when rock groups change lead singers. It's just not the same. So in this case, I'm going to take the Steelers over the Bengals by a score of 27-20.
Well, have you been watching the games over the last few weeks with Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback? I mean, the Bengals offense has put up 33, 38, and 42 points or in the last 3 weeks with Joe Flacco as the quarterback. The problem with the Bengals is that their defense is terrible. So that they've given up 30 points in each of their last three games. And that includes the one against the game where they won against the Steelers with this one. And against a quarterback that ranks 30. The Bengals are giving up the most points in the league to tight ends, most points in the league to quarterbacks. Second most points per game to quarterbacks, and running backs the most points that they've allowed. So you have that, but the problem is I just don't know what the Steelers team is. And the Steelers have the 20 in terms of yards per game, they rank 28th on offense and 30th on defense. So this is going to be a game where the Steelers are going to have to rely on turnovers to win games. And it infuriates the hell out of me picking these games because I am 0-9 against the spread picking Steeler games this year, Tim. I'm 0-9 against the spread picking the Steeler games. I mean, it's just my jinx. So congratulations to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm picking the Bengals to cover, but it's about the Steelers to win 29-26.
Interesting there. Next game we have the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans over in Nashville. Houston comes in this one as 7-point favorites, and well, it seems that Natale and I agree on this particular game. This is going to be total rubbish. This is going to be total trash. Yeah, this is our garbage game of the week. However, the way that Nico Collins has been playing, that big game we had last week, I think the Texans are very, very good. I mean, their defense is. You say Houston's defense is kind of near the bottom, right?
No, Houston's actually near the top. Actually,
near the top, actually. So, yeah, that is definitely going to stop. That is definitely going to stop Cam Ward and those Tennessee Titans here. So, with that being said, this is kind of a sexy pick for me. I'm taking the Houston Texans by a score of 20-10. And I'm not just taking the Houston Texans. I'm going to go ahead and lock them in. And according to Natale, he is going to take the Texans over the Titans by a score of 18-10. So, what do you say on this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Texans to win as well. I mean the fact that how they won against Jacksonville scares me a little bit going into this one. Also to mention the Titans are coming off their bye week, but I just think the Titans are the worst team in the NFL. So that they just can't get anything going on offense, and Cam Ward was saddled with a lot of trash around him. Which is an unfortunate matter, and it got Brian Callahan fired. So I'm going to pick the Houston Texans. I still believe in them, but the valid question is: are the Texans looking ahead a little bit because next week they have the Thursday night game at home against the Bills. So it's important for the Texans to make sure they take care of business and win this game, and I think they will. Ride their defense to victory by a score of 26-17.
Alrighty then. Now we're going to go into the late afternoon games here on the schedule, starting in Arizona. The Cardinals are going to be at home against the 49ers, and San Francisco comes in this one as 2.5 point favorites. And according to Natale's predictions, he is taking the Niners over the Cardinals by a score of 29-23. Like I say, I really don't know how the Niners are winning all these games with all of their star players so banged up as they are, but somehow they are. And it's getting closer and closer until the release of Call of Duty Black Ops 7, so that's going to keep Kyler Murray, going to keep him occupied a little bit. Yeah, Kyler Murray and his Call of Duty. So thinking of that, I am going to take the 49ers over the Cardinals by a score of 27-20.
I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals to win the game, Tim.
Ooh.
I mean, look. I alluded to this earlier. Jacoby Brissett had a difficult matchup against Seattle, having to go there on a short week, and I wasn't expecting the Cardinals to win in Seattle, but they have now they get the Niners defense at the right time because they're just shredded with injuries, and the Cardinals actually have a decent defense, and I don't want the game against Seattle last week to switch the minds a little bit here, but I'm gonna pick the Cardinals to win this game, and I think you look at look at things here. I think because I'm looking at a big game from Marvin Harrison Jr., monster game for Trey McBride. I'm expecting a big game from him. I think that I think Bam Knight is gonna have a good day. I think depending on whether he plays or not, I do think he's gonna wind up playing a factor in this game. So I'm going to pick the Cardinals to beat the Niners by a score of 30-27. It's going to 30-27 is my score for this game. So I'm picking the Cardinals.
I understand. Interesting pick there. Now we go to Los Angeles over at SoFi Stadium. The Rams are at home. They'll be taking on their division rival Seattle Seahawks, and actually have the Rams coming in at 3-point favorites. Let me hear what you got on this one first.
I mean, this is my pick for game of the week. I know you got Lions Eagles later tonight, but this to me is the best game of the week because both these teams are 7-2. The winner they play their first meeting of the season. They'll see each other later in the season on Thursday Night Football. I think it's gonna be a tremendous game. Two well coached teams. But I kind of expect the Rams to win this game. So because I think what Stafford is doing. I mean, Matthew Stafford's name is in the MVP conversation, and we're not talking about that. Yeah, he is on a burner. So, but I think it's I think it's gonna be a much closer game than the games the Rams have had the previous 3 weeks against inferior rosters. So, but I think Stafford is going to be the difference here. I think they have the good as good as Sam Darnold has been. The Rams have the better quarterback. I think the Rams match up with Seattle defensively in terms of intensity and making plays. So I'm going to pick the Rams by a score of 26-21. I think it's going to be a terrific game at SoFi.
Yeah, I agree. This is the game of the week right here. So I gotta make a slight change there. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, this is going to be box office ticket right here. Two great teams going up against each other. That defense of Seattle is reminding me of the old Legion of Boom. Los Angeles offense with Puka Nakua and Matthew Stafford is going to be a real good one. But in the end, so if you can't pick a winner, go with the home team. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Rams to beat the Seahawks, even though the Seahawks are going to make it very, very interesting. Field goal, about 5 minutes left in the game is going to do it. Give me the Rams over the Seahawks by a score 26-23. And Natale agrees that this will be the game of the week, and he's got the Rams over the Seahawks by a score of 32-28. So, with that being said, we will go on to the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. The game is in Cleveland, and Baltimore is 8.5-point favorites. I kind of think that number 8.5 is just a little too small. I mean, Lamar Jackson's back. He makes things happen. Meanwhile, the Browns are just dirt. They're mud. They're just slop. There's just nothing to that thing. So I'm just gonna make this short and simple with this one. Ravens 30, Browns 17.
Yeah, the 8.5 scares me because it's a division game and the Browns seem to play Baltimore tough, but Ravens minus 8.5 is the best bet of the week. I think Baltimore is starting to fire on all cylinders. And I think the way they won against Minnesota, I think big picture. In my opinion is a monster deal in this one. All things being equal here. So I do think Baltimore is gonna put up some points. I think big game for Derrick Henry despite the Browns' run defense. I've got the Ravens winning this game by a score of 33-14, and not only that is that my Baltimore winning. That is my lock of the week.
So Flynn is locking up the Ratbirds. And according to Natale, he's going with the Ravens as well. He's going Ravens 31, Browns 22. Now we got a big AFC West matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos over at Mile High. And the Chiefs are coming in this one at 3.5-point favorites. So, Flynn, let me hear your take on the Chiefs and Broncos.
I love the Chiefs in this game. I mean, considering what the Broncos have done, I mean, they have not had the Broncos' 7-game winning streak has featured some of the flukiest wins of the season. We had the insane comeback against the Giants, where they were awful for 3 quarters. They barely beat Vegas, and that game was terrible. They beat Houston without CJ Stroud, and you had the gift of the Cowboys. You had the gift of Jake Browning earlier in the season. The Broncos are such frauds, honestly, and I think the Chiefs coming off a bye, knowing they need to win to get back into the race in the AFC West. So give me the Chiefs to win a defensive game by a score of 23-16.
Well, this may be my opinion.
Actually, the score I have on that one is 19-13. 19-13 is my score for this one.
19-13 Chiefs, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, obviously, I cannot speak for Natale since he's not here. But in my opinion, everything you said about the Chiefs, about their fluke wins,
the Broncos.
Oh, the Broncos had fluke wins?
Yes, which is why I'm picking against the Broncos.
But uh, but I think there are some still maybe a few chinks in the armor of the Chiefs. I mean, the Broncos still have a great talent there. And I pretty much said that these two teams would probably split their series, and each team each team winning at home. So but right now, speaking for me and for Natale, we're sounding the alarm on this one. Yes, Natale says he's got the Broncos over the Chiefs 27-25. I'm taking the Broncos over the Chiefs 27-20. That was a weird look I saw on your face right there.
Yeah.
Excuse me, folks. I don't want to have anything else to drink here. I drank up all my milk. But we only have 2 more games left to go, so just hang tight.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's good news for you.
Yeah, good news for me. We now go to the Sunday night game. This could be a potential game of the week. I mean, yes, the Seattle Seahawks and Los Angeles Rams is game of the week, but this could be as well. It's the Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles over at Lincoln Financial. And Philadelphia is coming in at 2.5-point favorites on this one. Almost kind of the way the Eagles are winning this game. I mean, it seems like Jalen Hurts is kind of back to where he's supposed to be. Detroit still has their great offense. This is going to be a nip and tuck game all the way through. But at the end, I actually do see the Eagles beating the Lions, but it's very, very close. I got the Eagles winning 26-24.
So you're grabbing the points with the Lions because the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites.
Right.
Yeah, and also the notable thing about this game was that the Lions were the only team on the Eagles' regular season schedule that voted against the ban of the tush push. So we will see how so we see the respect level for this one, and we'll see if the Lions embrace the physicality of the Philadelphia Eagles, but. As I mentioned earlier, I still believe until I see anything differently that the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. They got their swagger back on defense, which I think is a big deal. And now it's just going to be a matter of getting their offense to gel. To get that magic feeling that they had last year, when they went on the run to win the Super Bowl. So I think the Eagles continue to clinch tiebreakers over the rest of their NFC competition for the 1 seed. So I think in the end, give me the Eagles to win. I think they improved to 8-2 on the season. I have them beating the Lions. The final score I have is 26-16 over the Lions.
Oh, okay. And let's see what Natalia said. Ooh. This is not his upset special, but he is saying the Lions over the Eagles 32-30.
Oh.
So that's a very interesting thing right there. But I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Lions to beat the Eagles with the team they have, but since the Eagles are at home, I guess. But I digress on that one. And last but not least, Monday Night Football. And I can't remember the last time that a team played 2 Monday night games back to back. But this is not actually back to back. This is on the other side of a bye week. Because we got my Dallas Cowboys going up against the Las Vegas Raiders over in Sin City. And the Cowboys are picked by 3.5. So I'll let you start first on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Cowboys. I think they win and cover. I just don't. I'm just not a believer of this Raiders team. I know they played Denver tough, but Bo Nix was just as bad as the Raiders were bad. So it's on offense. So could the Raiders suddenly take advantage of a dreadful Cowboys defense? Sure, but I just think the Raiders are worse. So give me the Cowboys to win this game by a score of 27-21.
And Natale says he will take the Cowboys over the Raiders by 23-17. And the Cowboys are back. They're rested after a good week or so. And they're heading over to a Raiders team, which I kind of agree with you, Flynn. I don't really believe in this Raider team, even though they did once have the best tight end in the league, but he's just falling on hard times right now, just like the rest of the team. I'm going to see the Cowboys winning this one by a score of 30-23. And once again, the teams on the bye week are the Indianapolis Colts and the New Orleans Saints. What happened there? Oh, I guess he hit the wrong button a little bit.
Yep.
But hey, I don't mind having a close up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that is going to do it for this edition of Fantasy Football Fever. As Flynn just said, he had a episode of Hooked on Sports that he did. What was it, late last night or early this morning?
So I recorded this late last night after I got home from work.
All right. So y'all be sure to tune in to Hooked on Sports. And of course, you can also watch Hooked on Sports on his channel. So be sure to catch that. Of course, he'll have his NFL picks finalized on his Thursday show.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Recap week 11, go to week 12. We're getting closer and closer to my favorite week of the season, which is Thanksgiving week. So that will be exciting. Don't forget tomorrow night, Pain Game Pick'em Show. Alex, Lucas, yours truly, 10 Eastern, 9 Central. There's a channel to look it up. And so with that, as Ross Tucker says on his podcast, I think we're done here.
Yes, we are.
So hopefully we're giving you some tips on how to evaluate your fantasy teams this week, because fantasy playoffs are coming around the corner. They'll be here before you know it.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
You just had to put that in there.
Playoffs?
Yeah, playoffs. Yeah, they're going to be here. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for watching us. Get your fantasy teams, make your roster moves. Hope you enjoy the games, everybody. So for John Natale and for John Flynn, I'm Tim McClellan. Thanks for watching us. Enjoy games, everyone. God bless you. And as always, be a good sport. See ya.